Headlines of VTV News. National Assembly discusses personnel work. Vietnam to prepare high-quality human resources for emerging semiconductor investment. And later on in our world news, international call for avoiding escalated conflict in the Middle East.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello and welcome to VTV News, broadcast live to you from Hanoi. You're with me, Lina Pham, and here's the top news of the hour. On Monday morning, the National Assembly opened its 8th extraordinary session, chaired by National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn. The session aims to consider and decide on key personnel matters. Attending the session are General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính, and Chairman of the Central Committee of the Vietnam Fatherland Front, Đỗ Văn Chiến.
Before the session began, the National Assembly spent a minute of silence in honor of the late Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng. Following this tribute, the National Assembly approved the Prime Minister's proposal to appoint new Deputy Prime Ministers for the 2021 to 2026 term. The appointees are Nguyễn Hòa Bình, Politburo member and Secretary of the Party Central Committee, Hồ Đức Phước, Party Central Committee member and Minister of Finance, and Bùi Thanh Sơn, Party Central Committee member and Minister of Foreign Affairs. The National Assembly also approved the Prime Minister's proposal for new minister appointments, including Đỗ Đức Duy, Secretary of the Provincial Party Committee of Yên Bái Province, to become a Minister of Natural Resources and the Environment, and Nguyễn Hải Ninh, Secretary of the Khánh Hòa Provincial Party Committee, to become a Minister of Justice. Additionally, Lê Minh Trí will become a Secretary of the Party Central Committee as a Chief Justice of the Supreme People's Court for the 2021 to 2026 term, and Nguyễn Huy Tiến will become a Chief Justice of the Supreme People's Procuracy for the 2021 to 2026 term. On this occasion, Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính, and Chairman of the Central Committee of the Vietnam Fatherland Front, Đỗ Văn Chiến, presented flowers and congratulated the newly appointed members on their new positions.
After the National Assembly completed the personnel work, a National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn delivered a closing speech at the 8th extraordinary session of the 15th National Assembly. Let's take a look.
National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn announced that the session concluded its agenda after a day of serious and responsible debate. He emphasized that the personnel decisions were made in strict accordance with party regulations and state laws, achieving broad consensus among deputies.
We believe that with the party's leadership, the involvement of all sectors, and the collective effort of our people, military, businesses, and overseas compatriots, our country will overcome challenges and achieve its socio-economic goals in 2024. This will support our national defense, foreign affairs, and efforts against corruption. Looking ahead, we urge all relevant agencies and National Assembly deputies to prepare thoroughly for the upcoming 8th session of the 15th National Assembly to help implement the 13th National Party Congress's resolutions and set the stage for the 14th Party Congress.
National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn expressed his sincere gratitude to the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam, the Politburo, the Secretariat, and especially General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm for their leadership in preparing and executing the session. He also praised the government, the Prime Minister, the Vietnam Fatherland Front, and other agencies for their coordination, and commended the National Assembly deputies for their responsible and unified approach to personnel decisions.
On Monday afternoon, after the National Assembly's approval, General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm presided over a ceremony to announce and hand over the State President's decision on appointing new ministers and deputy prime ministers. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính was also in attendance.
General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm congratulated the newly appointed ministers and deputy prime ministers, noting that their appointments reflect both personal honor and recognition from the party, National Assembly, and government towards their significant contributions and dedication. The General Secretary and State President commended these newly appointed members as exemplary party and state cadres who have effectively contributed to the country's socio-economic development. He urged the new deputy prime ministers to uphold and advance the government's valuable traditions, perform their duties in line with the constitution and laws, and focus on building a robust socialist rule of law state. For the new ministers of natural resources and environment and justice, he called on them to work with the party committees and ministries members to tackle challenges and meet the party's and people's expectations. He stressed the importance of building a strong, skilled and dedicated team of civil servants.
The party, state, and people have high expectations for the government in national development over the coming years. With strong unity and support from ministries, localities, the people, and the army, I am confident that Nguyễn Hòa Bình, Bùi Thanh Sơn, Hồ Đức Phước, Đỗ Đức Duy, and Nguyễn Hải Ninh will excel in their new roles.
At the ceremony, Deputy Prime Minister Nguyễn Hòa Bình expressed heartfelt gratitude on behalf of the new appointees to the Politburo, Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam, National Assembly, Government, General Secretary, State President, and Prime Minister for their trust and assignments. They pledged to work tirelessly, lead by example, and collaborate with the government to overcome challenges and ensure the successful implementation of the 13th Party Congress resolution, focusing on achieving key goals in the final years of the term.
On Monday, General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm received Kim Jong-uk, Commissioner General of the Korean Coast Guard, who is on a working visit to Vietnam. The General Secretary and State President highlighted that the visit underscores the strong Vietnam-South Korea comprehensive strategic partnership. He praised the ongoing cooperation between the Vietnamese Ministry of Public Security and the Korean Coast Guard. The General Secretary and State President suggested the Commissioner General actively contribute to enhancing the relationship between the Ministry of Public Security and the Korean Coast Guard, particularly in maritime patrols, experience exchanges, joint training, and capacity building for handling situations on rivers and at sea. The Commissioner General expressed satisfaction with the agreements between the two agencies and committed to enhancing their relationship in the future. After General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm announced the appointments of 3 deputy prime ministers and 2 ministers, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính met with them on Monday evening to offer congratulations and outline their tasks. The Prime Minister lauded the contributions of Trần Lưu Quang in his former position as the Deputy Prime Minister and congratulated him in his new position as the head of the Party Central Committee's Economic Commission. He emphasized that the roles come with both honor and significant responsibility for the newly appointed members and encouraged them to use their strengths and experience to address government challenges and uphold its traditions and achievements. He urged them to promote solidarity, discipline, integrity, innovation, and creativity, and to take decisive and effective action to excel in their roles. The Prime Minister also expressed his hope that they would serve the country and the people with dedication, contributing to the country's strong and successful development and the happiness and prosperity of its people. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính has met with Tanin bin Ahmad Al Zayodi, Minister of State for Foreign Trade of the United Arab Emirates, or UAE. To further enhance bilateral cooperation, the Prime Minister welcomed the delegation and suggested increasing bilateral cooperation through more frequent exchanges, finalizing a mutually beneficial CEPA agreement, and reducing taxes on certain goods. He also proposed boosting trade to $10 billion and promoting cooperation in energy, oil and gas, and the halal food industry. He further requested UAE support for establishing an international financial center in Ho Chi Minh City and strengthening cooperation in labor, culture, sports, tourism, and people-to-people exchanges. The UAE Minister of State expressed interest in collaborating on halal food production in Vietnam and considering tax reductions and a business cooperation council. Receiving the Raja General Secretary of the Communist Party of India, or CPI, on Monday, Lương Cường, a Politburo member and standing member of the Communist Party of Vietnam's Central Committee Secretariat, expressed his pleasure at the growing solidarity between their parties and congratulated the CPI on its recent election success. The Vietnamese leader shared Vietnam's achievements of the past 4 decades and its ongoing efforts in party building, anti-corruption, and socio-economic development. The General Secretary of the CPI expressed strong support for the CPV and highlighted India's priorities, emphasizing a desire to learn from Vietnam's experience and enhance cooperation in the economy, trade, investment, agriculture, and people-to-people exchanges. Coming up next, Vietnam prepares high-quality human resources for emerging semiconductor investment. And stable housing provided for hundreds of ethnic households. You're watching VTV News. Under the draft project on developing human resources for the semiconductor industry, Vietnam aims to train 50,000 engineers for the sector by 2030. To achieve this ambitious goal, a collaborative model involving 3 key stakeholders, educational institutions, the government, and enterprises, is crucial. This collaboration will cover both new training initiatives and the early transition of high-quality human resources into the semiconductor industry.
As part of the mandatory curriculum, students are required to spend their entire second year engaged in programs on robotics, software programming, and microprocessor systems at partnering enterprises.
We prioritize collaboration with educational institutions to source talent. The key focus is on rapidly enhancing the practical skills and testing capabilities of young engineers.
These partnerships also address significant challenges faced by domestic training facilities, such as the lack of infrastructure, equipment, and electronic microchip testing environments for students, educators, and young engineers. This approach is essential for effective training in semiconductors.
We have joined an employment advisory council that includes representatives from the semiconductor industry and over 30 strategic enterprises. Our ultimate goal is to ensure our graduates can immediately meet industry demands.
To further focus on human resources for the semiconductor and digital technology sectors, the Provincial People's Council has issued Resolution Number 05. This resolution provides support for educators and students while empowering training institutions to proactively develop high-quality talents.
Following the launch of the project on developing human resources for the semiconductor industry until 2030, with a vision towards 2045, spearheaded by the Ministry of Science and Technology, numerous chip manufacturers such as Cadence, Marvell, Siemens, and Samsung have collaborated with Vietnam in organizing training programs aimed at producing 50,000 semiconductor engineers.
These companies provide essential software that the National Innovation Center distributes to universities. The software is also used for short-term training courses and for transitioning students and engineering lecturers in related fields into semiconductors.
In recent times, the government's strong commitment has led to the enhancement of institutional frameworks that encourage innovation, with a focus on training high-quality human resources. This is key for Vietnam to integrate more deeply into the supply chains of major chip manufacturing corporations.
Vietnam's real estate market is on the path to recovery and is expected to reverse its trend by the end of this year, according to the World Bank's Vietnam Economic Update 2024, released on Monday. The report highlights that the challenging conditions in the corporate bond market, including those for real estate corporate bonds, have improved significantly. This recovery has been bolstered by the effective land law, which has played a key role in supporting the real estate sector's rebound. Additionally, corporate bond issuance in the first half of this year surged 2.5 times compared to the same period last year, as banks leveraged the low interest rate environment to refinance corporate bond debt. Lower real estate loan interest rates have also contributed to a notable 22% increase in real estate transaction values in the first quarter of this year compared to the fourth quarter of last year. Vietnam and China recently signed a protocol regarding inspection, quarantine, and food safety for frozen durian exports. This marks a significant growth opportunity for Vietnam's durian industry. Currently, only 60% of fresh durians meet export standards. As a result, many companies have invested in facilities to process the remaining 40% and boost the export value of this product.
During peak harvest season, this durian segmenting and freezing production line eases market consumption concerns and reduces seasonal pressure. It also preserves the export value of durians that don't meet fresh export standards. The frozen durians are peeled, sorted by quality, and prepared for export.
We export frozen durians to markets that haven't approved fresh durian exports. The durians are frozen whole, in segments, and as instant products. Frozen products can be sold year-round.
Currently, about 60 enterprises have invested in freezing technology specifically for exporting durian to distant markets. Official approval for export to China is expected to increase the value of Vietnam's durian industry to a forecasted $3.5 billion this year.
The input cost of these durians is very low, but after careful selection and processing, the price increases significantly. The company meticulously categorizes them into levels A and B for export to China.
Dak Lak's durian output is substantial, with fresh fruit alone reaching millions of tons in recent years. The introduction of frozen durian will therefore provide even more growth opportunities.
Freeze-drying technology increases durian's value by tenfold, reaching up to $120 per kilogram. This method extends shelf life, allowing the sale of durians that meet quality standards.
Dried durians have a shelf life of 24 to 36 months, so the prices can remain stable. There are concerns about fresh durians going bad or fluctuating demand, but the company can estimate output for dried durians all year round and does not have to rely on the harvest time.
With the upcoming harvest estimated to yield millions of tons, investing in the advanced processing of durians is crucial. This approach serves as a gateway to expand export markets and maintain Vietnam's leading position in durian exports.
Vietnam's Central Highlands has seen a significant boost in resources thanks to the National Target Program for Socio-Economic Development in Ethnic Groups and Mountainous Areas. This funding has empowered localities to repair and construct new homes for impoverished households. The initiative is helping residents to focus on economic development, increase their incomes, and ultimately escape poverty.
In just a few days, her class and his family of 5 will move into their new and sturdy home valued at more than $4,800. A proportion of the funding for his home construction came from Program 1719.
My old house was a makeshift one made from pure metal sheets. Thanks to the state support and our own savings, we've finished building a new house. I'm grateful for the party and the state.
Over the past 3 years, the Central Highlands provinces have disbursed more than $60 million from the program. This has funded the construction of hundreds of sturdy houses in remote areas.
Our house was dilapidated and life was difficult. But we've been able to live in a new, stable house thanks to the party and state. I'm happy and grateful.
Support from 3 national target programs, along with prioritized social resources, have made significant strides. In recent years, hundreds of new homes have replaced dilapidated shelters.
These new and clean homes symbolize a brighter future for the people of the Central Highlands, reflecting the government's commitment to leaving no one behind. This initiative is not only improving living conditions, but also motivating residents to strive for a better life.
On Sunday night, the opening ceremony of the 100-year Wax Coconut Tree Festival took place in Cầu Kè District, Trà Vinh Province. Wax coconut first appeared in Cầu Kè exactly a century ago. Thanks to favorable soil conditions, the wax coconut area has expanded to over 1,200 hectares, producing more than 3,000 fruits annually. Currently, wax coconuts are processed into over 10 product lines, including 5-star OCOP products. These products are exported worldwide to countries such as the USA, Japan, EU members, and Canada, accounting for 1/5 of Trà Vinh Province total coconut processing industry. Coming up next in our world news, international call for avoiding escalated conflict in the Middle East. And Telegram responds to arrest of CEO Pavel Durov. The international community called on all parties to exercise a maximum restraint to avoid a full-on conflict between Israel and Hezbollah forces in Lebanon. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said on Sunday that the U.S. is working to avert an escalation of conflict in the Middle East following a recent exchange of strikes between Israel and Hezbollah. He stated that the White House is working with Cairo and other mediators to achieve a ceasefire and hostage exchange deal along the framework that U.S. President Joe Biden had, with an ultimate goal towards a regional stability. The United Nations, Egypt, Japan, and Switzerland also voiced their concern about the growing threat of an escalating conflict while urging restraints in the Middle East. They also reiterated their call for concentrated efforts for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The messaging platform Telegram issued its first statement following the arrest of CEO Pavel Durov in France. In a social media post on August 26, Telegram Messenger said it abides by EU laws, including the Digital Services Act, and that its moderation is within industry standards. It also rejected claims that a platform or its owner are responsible for user abuse of that platform. The Russian-French CEO CEO of Telegram, Pavel Durov, was arrested in France on August the 24th as part of a preliminary police investigation. The investigation was set to focus on a lack of moderators on Telegram and subsequent unhindered criminal activities on the messaging app. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova said Moscow had begun working on the case and will soon release its response. Authorities in Bangladesh and India have issued warnings about severe flooding affecting multiple regions in both countries. At least 20 people have died and more than 5.2 million have been affected in Bangladesh by floods. Relentless monsoon rains and upstream river water have blocked roads in several districts, isolating communities and hampering rescue and relief efforts. More than 300,000 people have taken refuge in shelters across the flood-affected districts. Meanwhile, heavy rain in Tripura, India has killed at least 24 people and displaced 65,000 more. Local authorities stated that the flood has affected 1.7 million people, along with extensive damage to infrastructure, crops, and livestock. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, on August the 19th approved a lazertinib for the first-line treatment of non-small cell lung cancer. The domestic lung cancer becomes South Korea's first anti-cancer medicine to be FDA approved.
This woman in her 70s was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer 2 months ago. After taking a domestic lung cancer drug, the tumor in her left lung has substantially decreased in size.
I continue to take this medicine because my condition has improved and I have regained hope.
This man was also diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer 2 years ago. Since he began taking a domestic lung cancer drug, his cancer stopped progressing further.
I was worried and scared at first, but my health has improved a lot. I feel better both physically and mentally.
Lazertinib targets mutation in the EGFR gene, which causes lung cancer. The drug is mostly prescribed to stage 4 lung cancer patients with EGFR mutation, who account for about 30% of all lung cancer cases.
The drug has been found to be more effective in preventing brain metastasis.
On August 20th, the domestic lung cancer drug lazertinib became the first Korean anti-cancer medicine to be approved by the U.S. FDA. After a pricing procedure, it is set to be released in the U.S. within this year.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download VTVgo from App Store, Google Play, or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4Go. See you again at 3 p.m. local time. Goodbye for now.